Okay, everyone, good morning, afternoon, evening. We're going to be looking at and continuing with our studies of elimination method. All right. So when you've got a problem here, so we're looking at the delta math assignment here. I've got 4x plus 7y equals negative 23, 8x plus 5y equals negative 1. All right, and what we've been doing in the last set of videos is that we've either been adding them or subtracting them, and by doing that, a term automatically eliminates itself. What happens is that that doesn't always happen. And if you look right here, if I add 4 plus 8, I get 12. If I add 7 plus 5, I get 12. If I subtract 4 minus 8, I get negative 4. And if I subtract 7 minus 5, I get 2. So at no point do I get 0 and have a variable eliminate itself. So what I need to do, and this is something that most people don't think about it until they're told. Okay. And once they're told, it makes complete sense. Okay. I can multiply my equation by a number, okay? And I can multiply it by any number I would like as long as I multiply the entire equation. So I'm going to take this equation right here and I'm going to multiply by negative 2. All right? So what happens when I multiply by negative 2? Well, I now get negative 8x minus 14y equals positive 46. And I'm going to recopy the second equation because I didn't say I had to multiply both equations by negative 2. I just was picking the first one. Equals negative 1. Okay. Now, if you're looking at it, some of you may have looked at it and you're like, oh, I know exactly what she did and I know why she did it. Well, look what happens here. If I add negative 8 plus 8, I get 0. So if I add my equations now, negative 8 plus 8, that eliminates. Negative 14 plus 5, that gives me negative 9y. And 46 plus 1, negative 1, gives me 45. If I divide by negative 9, y equals negative 5. Okay? So that's the only new step I'm teaching you today in this video is how did I do this? Okay, so let's finish out the problem and then we'll put up another example and we'll talk about it. All right, so now I'm going to take y equals negative 5 and I'm going to plug it into whichever one you'd like. Okay, I'm going to go with the second one. So 8x plus 5 times negative 5 equals negative 1. So 8x minus 25 equals negative 1. I'm going to add 25. So I get 8x equals 24. Divide by 8. So x equals 3. All right, and so that means my solution is 3, negative 5. Okay, so how did I do this? Okay, how did I proceed to do this problem? Okay, so let me bring up a new one. Well, let's type this one in and see how we did. 3, negative 5. Submit my answer. Yes. Okay, so let's look at a new problem. All right, let's not look at that one. All right, this one works. Okay, so 4x minus 3y equals negative 13. Negative x plus 6y equals negative 44. Okay, so when I'm copying the problem down, a couple of things are going through my head as I'm copying them, okay? Because I spent my entire life going to school having to copy everything out of a textbook. So while I was copying, I was thinking. All right, so what I'm thinking about is I have to multiply. Okay, so I already know that I'm going to have to multiply. So it's a matter of figuring out which one do I multiply by and which one's the best one. And actually, there's more than one right answer. Okay. And this is a good example to talk about more than one correct answer. So you might be looking at it and saying, okay, I know this one, okay, that you've got this -1, you've got this 4. And based on what I just did, some of you might be thinking, well, I'm wondering if I can multiply the bottom by 4. You absolutely could. Okay. You are more than welcome to do that. Some of you may have thought, hey, wait a minute. And you were looking at the Y's and you saw that you had a -3 and then you had a 6. And you might be thinking to yourself, hey, but can I multiply by 2 on the top? Okay. Yes, you can. So if you're thinking to yourself, hey, I'm going to multiply by 2 on the top, okay, that works as well. Okay. Now, some of you, as you learn to do this, okay, you may have to realize that some of you might end up multiplying both equations when you didn't need to. And some of you might end up multiplying by the wrong number for the first time. And that's okay. That's part of the learning process. Okay. So for me, I saw multiplying by 2 first. So when because I wrote this one down, and as I was writing this, I was like, "Oh, I'm just gonna multiply by 2." But you're welcome to do that. Now, some of you may be asking, "What about positives and negatives?" Yes, you can multiply by -2. You could multiply by -4. It's just you have to ask yourself when you go to solve, are you going to add the equations or can you subtract to get the equations to eliminate the variable? So that's the only thing you have to work with. I'm going to be honest with you. I always lean towards forcing this so that way I'm adding. Okay. So that means if I already have one that's positive, one that's negative, I'm not going to multiply by a negative number. Okay. So let me eliminate the orange one. Okay. Because, like I said, that's not the one I gravitated towards. Okay. If you did, you're welcome to solve it that way. Okay. So for me, I'm going to multiply the top by 2. All right. And again, it's not perfect or it's not wrong if you multiplied by something different. So -6y equals, and 2 times that is going to be -26. All right. And then I'm going to leave the bottom equation alone. So -x plus 6y equals -44. And now I'm going to add. I just prefer adding because I don't make as many mistakes. Okay. So 8 plus -1, that's going to be 7x. This eliminates, equals, and -26 plus -44 is going to be -70. So I'm going to divide by 7. So I get x equals -10. All right. And then remember, you're not done. You got to go back to the original. You can go back up here, but I don't recommend it. I always say take the x, go back to an original equation and plug it in. I'm going to go with the first one. So 4x minus 3y equals -13. I'm going to say 4 times 10 minus 3y equals -13. So 40 minus 3y equals -13. So -3y. If I subtract 40, I get -53. And I have a feeling something is amiss. Yeah, something's wrong. All right, you guys, give me a minute. Oh, it's -10. So that should be -40. So when I add, I should get 33. There we go. So then I get y equals -11. Whew, I was wondering what had happened right there. All right, so -10, -11. So here is -10, -11. Submit my answer. Ooh, I still messed it up. What did I do, guys? Should have gotten -9 for my y values. All right, let me hit pause and I'll come back. All right, you guys, so I found my mistake. Okay, so here is my corrected work. My apologies for that, but I'm not gonna restart the video because this is good things. This is what happens when you solve problems. Okay, so when I added 40, I did that incorrectly. Okay, so now I've got when I add 40, you get 27, and then when you divide by -3, you get -9. So now my corrected answer is -10, -9. Okay. All right. I'll come back in a couple more videos and practice how we are going to be multiplying in order to solve.